Welcome guys to this video lesson. Today's topic will be the sonnet, the English sonnet, and in particular we're going to analyze how did the sonnet develop in England and the differences between the Petrarchan sonnet and Shakespearean sonnet. We're going to see the main features and the main themes and all the features dealing with the language and the style and the rhyming scheme. And after this, I am going to read for you this example of sonnet from one of the most popular Elizabethan sonneteers, that was Sir Thomas Wyatt. Okay, let's start from talking about the Renaissance. In England, the Renaissance developed later than in the rest part of Europe. So in England, it developed later than in England. But the Renaissance in England had its own distinctive features. The influence from Italy was immense, above all dealing with literature or fashion. But on the other hand, England tried to get free from this foreign influence that mainly came from the Pope and Rome, which had a strong influence in matters of religion, above all. The first thing to characterize the movement in England, the Renaissance movement in England, was the strong Protestant feature. And in some aspect, Renaissance had its Puritan basis, strongly influenced by the Protestant Reformation, which started in Germany with Martin Luther. In England, the literature of this period lacked the pagan serenity of the Italian Renaissance, because in Italy the Renaissance was generally marked by a pagan serenity, but instead in England Renaissance had a Protestant basis. Italian Renaissance had as its main features the sense of symmetry, balance, and a linear perspective. Instead, the English Renaissance was more Baroque. It had a Baroque exuberance, and we can see the use of vivid and powerful imagery, above all in the use of the language in literature. Well, the Renaissance is considered the golden age of poetry because we have a big flourishing of songs and sonnets. Okay, we have a big production, literary production of songs and sonnets. The sonnet came mainly from Italy, and its invention was attributed to Jacopo da Lentini in the first half of the 13th century. But the best expression came with the Italian poet Petrarch, with his Canzoniere, which became the model for all the European Renaissance poets. Let's see the main characteristics of the Petrarchan sonnet. The sonnet is made up of 14 lines It is a poem made up of 14 lines in iambic pentameter with a fixed rhyme scheme. The Italian or Petrarchan sonnet consists of an octave, usually rhyming A-B-B-A, A-B-B-A, and the sestet may rhyme C-D-E, C-D-E, or C-D-C, D-C-D. The octave generally presents an issue or a topic, a problem, or a specific situation, while the sestet contains the solution of the problem or personal reflections. In this kind of sonnet, we have a turning point only at the end of the 8th line, line number 8. And in the 9th line, we have, sometimes it is introduced by the words like and, if, so, but, and yet. Okay? Well, let's see now the main features of the Shakespearean sonnet. The English or Shakespearean sonnet is divided into 3 quatrains and a final couplet. The rhyme scheme is the following: A, B, A, B, C, D, C, D, E, F, E, F, and the rhyming couplet G, G. Couplet means distico in Italiano. Quatrains means quartina. Sestet means sestina. Octave means ottava. So octave, ottava is made up of 8 lines. Sestet is made up of 6 lines. A quatrains is made up of 4 lines. A couplet is made up of 2 lines. Okay, this is the rhyming scheme, and it is very technical. Okay, in the Shakespearean sonnet, the poet can use the quatrains to present the theme or the main issue of the poem, or 3 different arguments, and he draws a conclusion in the final couplet. Okay. Sir Thomas Wyatt, Henry Howard, the Earl of Surrey, introduced the Petrarchan sonnet in England, mainly, and these were mainly some translations from Petrarch's sonnets into English, but they changed the rhyme scheme into ABBA, ABBA, CDDC, and the final couplet. So Shakespeare adopted these 3 independent quatrains. Okay, this is the first quatrain, the second quatrain, and the third quatrain were adopted by Shakespeare, and with he added a final couplet, and this scheme sums up the thought with epigrammatic force. Okay, it is very, very incisive, this scheme, the use of this scheme. So the rhyme scheme of Shakespeare's sonnet became A-B, A-B, C-D, C-D, E-F, E-F, G, G. So he changed something respect the sonnet rhyme scheme of Thomas Wyatt and Harry Orwell. He just changed something, Shakespeare. The Elizabethan sonneteers, so the poets who mostly wrote sonnets during Elizabethan age, showed their ability in the use of the conceits. We have already studied the conceit is an elaborate, very elaborate metaphor that characterizes the whole stanza or poem. The conceit is a metaphor with a complex logic, and it is very important that juxtaposition of images and ideas, which makes a kind of contrast. So we have the use of contrasting ideas, which have which are used in a very surprising way. This is the this is the meaning of this word, the conceit, of this metaphor. During the last decades of Elizabethan reign, many poets started writing sonnets, and most of the sonnet collections were named after a woman. This is a typical Petrarchan tradition, but became very popular in England because of the veneration of the Queen, Elizabeth I. So she was referred to by the poets as Cynthia or the Fairy Queen. So you have to remember that Elizabeth I was also called the Virgin Queen. So this veneration of this queen, of this woman, is also reflected in the sonnets of this period. Right? Let's see now the themes and the language. The traditional theme of the sonnet is love and the strong desire for a woman, for a lady, who is not returning the poet's love. And this causes the poet's despair. The poet is desperate. The lady is the embodiment of the physical and the moral perfection, and we have the conflict between the desire and the unhappiness and frustration, because the lady is very cold, and this leads the poet to madness and despair. This psychology of love is well expressed through the frequent use of the oxymoron. The oxymoron is a figure of speech and is made up of a series of contradictory ideas. The oxymoron. And combines, this figure of speech combines two contradictory terms together in the same line. So to explain, just make an example. The lover begs the lady's love, but at the same time he doesn't wish her to surrender to him. So this is very contradictory. The lady is beautiful but cruel, desirable but chaste. The lover suffers, but he doesn't want the end of this suffering. He wants his lady to mourn, to cry for his absence, but he doesn't want her to suffer. These are a series of contradictions. Shakespeare introduced the theme of beauty or the theme of the decay, che vuol dire decadimento, and the theme of art in his sonnets. But the popularity of the sonnet came to an end during the 18th century. But the sonnet, the Shakespearean sonnet in particular, was revived by the Romantic poets, and in particular by Wordsworth, who wrote the sonnet composed upon Westminster Bridge, which was inspired by a Shakespearean sonnet. And the sonnet was also later used during the 20th century. But now let's see this table showing the differences between the Italian or Petrarchan sonnet and the English or Shakespearean sonnet. Let's see in particular the differences between the number of lines. Okay, for example, the number of lines, I just want to reduce this because we don't need it so big. Right, the number of lines. So 14 lines in iambic pentameter, 14 lines in the iambic pentameter, so the same number of lines. The layout. Petrarchan sonnet is made up of two sections. We have the octave, which presents an issue or a situation, and the sestet, which contains the solution of the problem or a personal reflection. The Shakespearean sonnet, we have 4 sections. Can you see the difference? 2 sections versus 4 sections. 3 quatrains present a theme or 3 different arguments in these 3 quatrains. Instead, the final couplet solves or summarizes the problem. So we have the final solution in the final couplet. The rhyme scheme, the octave A, B, B, A, sestet C, D, E, or etc. Shakespearean sonnet, the first quatrain A, B, A, B, C, D, C, D, E, F, E, F, G, G, the final couplet. The turning point comes at the end of the 8 lines, and the 9th line is sometimes introduced by the words like and, if, so, but, or yet. The turning point in the Shakespearean sonnet comes at the end of the 8th line, and the 9th line is sometimes introduced by the words like and, if, so, but, and yet. Okay, the same formula as the Petrarchan sonnet. Okay, we have similarities and differences, okay, in this scheme. Let's go now to read together I Find No Peace, which is a sonnet by Sir Thomas Wyatt, who is one of the most popular Elizabethan sonneteers. This sonnet is made up of 3 quatrains and a final couplet. And okay, I'm going to read it for you. I find no peace and all my work is done. I fear and hope, I burn and freeze like ice. I fly above the wind, yet can I not arise. I know and know I have, and all the world I seize on, that loseth or locketh, holdeth me in prison, and holdeth me not, yet I escape no wise, nor letteth me life, nor die at my device. And yet of death is it giveth no occasion. Without eye I see, and without tongue I plain. I desire to perish, and yet I ask health. I love another, and thus I hate myself. I feed me in sorrow, and laugh in all my pain. Likewise displeaseth me both death and life, and my delight is causer of this strife. Well, if we follow this visual analysis, we can see that, for example, okay, I'm gonna show you like this. We have, for example, okay, the rhyme scheme is ABBA, and the last quatrain is CDDC. Okay, we have 1, 2, 3 quatrains and the final couplet rhyming EE. Okay, il distico finale. Okay, life rhymes with strife. Okay, we have the use of oxymoron, which is a figure of speech that consists in contrasting images. Okay, we have the letters in pink and in light blue are contrasting images. So peace contrasts with war, fear contrasts with hope, bar and freeze, fly and can I not arise, lose it and lock it, hold it and escape, live or die, without eye, without tongue, I plain, desire to perish, ask health, love and hate, sorrow and laugh, death and life, delight, contrast with strife. Okay, the idealized figure of the woman is shown with this in the final couplet, and we have my delight. So the poet addresses to her, to his lover, to this woman, and he says she's his delight. Okay. The contrasting emotions are shown in the first quatrain, and in particular in line number 4, and nothing I have, and all the world I seize on, all the world I catch, I try to catch, I try to have the whole world for me. In the second quatrain, we have expressions referring to the helplessness of love. Okay, it is a love who is not corresponded, and the poet shows this feeling in the 8th line, and yet of death is given none occasion. Okay, I'm just dying for love, but no one gives me the occasion to die. Okay, I haven't got the occasion, so I have to live with this sorrow for an unrequited love. Okay, not corresponded love. So the helplessness, the uselessness of love. The poet's mental agitation in the 3rd quatrain is shown in the line number 11. I love another, and thus I hate myself. And then the wild oscillation of feeling in love in the final couplet. Likewise displeaseth me both death and life. Okay, we have the oscillation of the feeling in the love, because the poet wishes to die and to live, but he doesn't have any fulfillment in life or in death. Okay, and my delight is causer of this strife. Okay, the woman I love is the main cause of this interior war. Okay, interior fight. Very good. Okay, I think that we can finish here for today. And okay, our lesson is over. I'll see you for the next video lesson. Okay, take care. Bye bye.